Okay, now that we have Microsoft Access installed, let's go ahead and open the file that we just downloaded. Go ahead and navigate to your desktop, find the file that we just downloaded called Case2N3 EMB, and double click on it. Once you double click on the file, Microsoft Access will open it up and it will give you a security warning. This is the yellow bar just beneath the ribbon of menu items, and this security warning says that some of the content has been disabled. Click more for details. Microsoft Access has the ability to read and write files from your PC. Before you select Enable whenever receiving an access file, you should always make sure that you trust the sender. So in this particular case, to move forward, you will need to click Enable Content. And it's okay to click Enable Content because you do trust the sender. It's me, I'm the one who created this and sent it to you. So go ahead and click Enable Content. Okay, now that we have the Access database open, let's talk a little bit about some of the basics of navigation. Similar to every other Office software product, we have the menu ribbon at the top with different categories of menu options. Here we see a category for File, another category listing Home, Create, External Data, and Database Tools. We're just going to navigate back to Home, and we'll get into some of the different menu options in a little bit. For now, you should focus your attention on the Access objects listed in the left side navigation pane. Access by default lists all of the different objects in a database for you to view. As we've discussed in our database module, a database is made up of different components. It's made up of tables, queries, forms, and reports. By clicking on the drop down next to all access objects, we can choose which objects to display. For your access case, you are going to be working with two types of database components. You'll be working with tables and queries. You will not be working with forms, and you will not be creating or working with reports. So, navigating back to our default view, we see a list of the tables contained in our Access database. We see the database has 6 tables in all: customer, department, employee, product, region, and sales order. To view a table, you can just double-click the table and it will pull up. Here we see data contained in the customer table. Initially, when you first open up a table, you'll think it looks a whole lot like a spreadsheet. There are some very important differences. In a database, we have structured data where we are defining the specific format and data type of everything that gets stored. In this particular table of customers, we see that we have 6 different columns displayed. So customer ID or Cust ID is the first column, first name is the second column, last name is the third, school, age, and experience are the final 3. Columns are also called fields, so just kind of keep that in mind. I'm going to use those two terms interchangeably. A column and a field mean the same thing when we're talking about databases. Rows in a database or rows in a table in a database correspond to the data that is being stored and captured. So here I see my very first row that I've just highlighted is Kenyon Coleman. He has a customer ID of 1000001, and we see his age and years of experience is listed as well. Tables can have 0 rows or thousands or even hundreds of thousands of rows. We see in this particular table that we have a total of 50 rows. Rows and records are synonymous, so This particular table has 50 rows. We can navigate to the last row by clicking on the last row button, or we can navigate to the next row by clicking on the next row button. And here I just created a row, which I don't want to do, so I will back off of it. To view a table in design mode, we need to click on the little top left button with a ruler and straight edge and a pencil. As soon as I click on it, it's going to pull up my customer table in a different view. So in the prior view, we were looking at the data contained in the table. When I switch to design mode, I'm now looking at the design of the table, and I'm specifically looking at the field names and the data type for each field name listed. This button and this view, the toggling between the two views, is really easy to get mixed up on. So if you get lost, you get confused, you're not sure where to go, check this top left button, check and make sure you're in the proper view. We have two view modes. We have design mode and we have view data mode or data mode. And you can just toggle back and forth between the two by clicking on the button in the top left. In design mode, I have the ability to change the names of our fields. I can change or edit the data type. Here we see the data type is short text. If I click on the drop down next to it, I can see a list of the different data types available. And I see that age is a number data type, so that means it's going to be used to store numeric or number data. Experience is also numeric or number, and the others are short text. There is a little gold key next to our very first field called Cust ID. The gold key is an indicator that the field is a primary key for the table. So a primary key uniquely identifies a record or a row in a table. And within Access, every time you see a brass key, a gold key, that indicates that that particular field is the primary key for the table selected. To identify or disable a primary key, you can just click on the button from the menu. You'll notice the primary key indicator goes away. If I click on it again, it will add it back. Microsoft Access also includes a table to display metadata. So these are additional details regarding our field. So for the Cust ID field, we see the data type is short text, but then we also have additional details we can specify below in the properties pane listed below. So we see things like the field size, whether or not it's required, can we have a zero length field, is it indexed, and so on. So I am going to go back and navigate to view mode, and because I made a change, I changed the primary key, I removed it and then added it back, it's going to ask me, do I want to save the table? I'm going to go ahead and select yes. This will save the table, it'll save the changes, and we switch back to our data view mode. I can also save any of my changes by clicking on the save icon in the top left of Microsoft Access. I would encourage you to navigate through each and every one of the tables listed to view the data as well as the design of each table. I will pull up one more to view. It's the sales order table. If I double click on it, it's going to pull up and open up all of the sales orders for EMB. Here we see we have 97,029 sales records. So if you remember your task, the task you're given in the case, data, 3 months of sales data has been extracted from the SAP Enterprise System, and it's been extracted and given to you in this Microsoft Access database. you are being asked to analyze the data, to make recommendations on how EMB might improve their operations. So you're going to be looking at and analyzing these 97,000 sales orders. So 97,000 is a fairly large number. I'll just scroll down through a few and you can see it goes on and on and on. We see the exact number of records listed down here at the bottom. We have 97,029. If I want to go to my last record, I can click the last record indicator, or I can just click on my scroll bar and navigate to the particular place in the table I'd like to view. So again, this is our data view mode. If I want to toggle and look at the design, I go to my top left button, I hit design mode, and now I see the names of the fields, I see the data type for each field, and I see the additional properties and metadata associated with each field. So here I see the order ID is our primary key. It's a short text data type. And because it is our primary key, that means the order ID can never be duplicated. Order ID is going to uniquely identify each and every row, each and every record in our table. For this case, we are not going to need to make edits to the design of our tables. So you can just toggle back to data view mode and familiarize yourself with the remainder of the tables. In the next tutorial, we'll look at how to join tables and how to create our first set of queries.